3 police officers, a brothel owner, and 2 of her former workers could go to trial as soon as next month or early January. Police officers David Q. Manila, Anthony Quenga, and Mario Laxamana appeared in court today, asking once again to be released from jail. The officers had been behind bars since they were picked up by Superior Court marshals last Friday night, following a superseding indictment that accuses them of conspiring, promoting, and furthering prostitution at the former Blue House Lounge. Manila also has 2 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct for allegedly sexually assaulting 2 workers at the bar. Attorney William Pohl represents Manila and argued that his client should be released on his own personal recognizance, or alternatively be placed on house arrest to a third-party custodian.
He's a veteran officer. He has a house on Guam. He has a pregnant girlfriend who's due to give birth in a month. His children from his first marriage are here. On all of those reasons, Your Honor, he's not a flight risk. He has always been open and honest with the government as well with the prosecution. So again, the argument that he's now, after 4 years of open cooperation with the federal government, has not been shown.
He added his client was a key witness in the federal case against Cha, in which he admitted to paying for a drink and then having sex with a worker at the Blue House in a VIP room. Prosecutor Nelson Warner painted a different picture, saying the victims, 9 of whom are still on Guam, are still living in fear.
We have young women who were intimidated and forced into prostitution, and as I pointed out in my brief, that intimidation went on yesterday in this courtroom by defendant Quenga. And we have real concerns that if these gentlemen are released and they're able to go out on their own recognizance and further the intimidation that was started a number of years ago, it will jeopardize the government's case.
GPD officer and FBI task force member Tracy Volta was called to the stand to testify about the interviews that were conducted with 16 victims in the case, one by one naming them.
With respect to Rita Takatini, what did she say with respect to her concerns in light of these allegations against her?
That she feared the police.
How about this?
She was also in fear of the police.
About her DL?
She was afraid of the police.
About Sackman?
She was still afraid of the police.
About Frida?
She was still afraid of any repercussions from the police.
Ivory?
She's very concerned about police.
Lucy?
She was still concerned.
What was the nature of their concern?
Retaliation by the police department against them.
Is there any evidence that Mr. Quenga contacted any of the victims?
Not to my knowledge.
Volta said the investigation began in October of this year when the police department was ordered by the governor to further look into allegations of police involvement in the prostitution that occurred at the Blue House. The hearing grew emotional for Officer Laxamana, who was seen wiping tears from his eyes in the courtroom, as his attorney Peter Perez detailed why his client was not a flight risk. Perez also said the likelihood of conviction is very minimal.
The point is, they're asking for an excessive bail, they're grandstanding, they're doing, the manner in which they're handling Mr. Laxamana's case is not fair. The court is not going to be bothered by, because there's been this rush to judgment in the public, and there's been this political posturing by almost every branch except the judicial branch regarding this case. Yes, thankfully we're in a dispassionate forum, a forum of restraint.
The prosecution says the bail amount is a result of the multiple conspiracy charges. Warner also told the court discovery will be handed over to the defense by Friday, and only then, he says, will they know the strength of their case. Both Laxamana and Quenga have approved third-party custodians in the event Judge Socola grants their bail motions. The motions were taken under advisement, with Socola expected to render her decision by Friday morning. During the federal trial, several of the workers testified that police officers frequented the establishment and were, quote, friends of the owner. It's alleged that the officers were used to prevent the girls from leaving the establishment and to make threats to force them to perform sexual acts for officers and customers who paid for it. Meantime, Frida Yusuan pleaded not guilty and is on pre-trial release. Cha's arraignment, however, was continued until Friday, when the court is expected to get a Korean interpreter. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Nick Delgado.